Hello and welcome back to Montcast. This episode's spotlight is on Extre-Life United. Alright, by now you know, we start with what's popular, and it's typically the same games over and over and over again. And it's no different this week, except for there's a new release mixing things up, and that is Warhammer Vermintide 2. And that's pretty much all you need to know. If you're familiar with Warhammer Vermintide, then you're already aware of what the game's all about. If you're not, it's basically a first-person action video game, and it's the sequel to the 2015 Warhammer End Times Vermintide, and it just released on March the 8th, and it's tearing up the Steam charts just as I think a lot of people anticipated. So that's that. Your new game this week, I can finally say this week, because episodes are weekly, and so I don't need to say your new game this episode. It's your new game this week is Darwin Project. Yes, it's another battle royale, and that's precisely what we don't need saturating the space at the moment. However, it's here, so we might as well talk about it. This is a Hunger Games style game where it's a 10-player battle royale with an 11th player acting as the game director. They can talk to all the players, they can close sections of the map, they can restore health, and different things. And it's kind of interesting, and one of the most noticeable things that sets it apart from the other battle royales is that it's only 10 players, and it's a relatively small map. So games turn over much quicker. And at the end of the game, you all rate the game director and how they did. Did they just hey, my buddy's playing, so I'm gonna make sure he wins, or did they actually do it fair and break it up? So yeah, it looks like it's a lot of fun. I've seen a lot of different players playing it. There was one day a couple days ago that a lot of the big streamers, really big, 30,000 plus concurrent viewers streamers, were all streaming it. And so at launch it had a lot of hype around it, especially in the Twitch community, because like I said, a lot of the big streamers were playing it. But that seemed to only last a day, and so now it's kind of starting to find where it sits in terms of concurrent playership. But yeah, you should check it out. It looks like a lot of fun, but I completely understand if the last thing you want to do is spend money on another battle royale. Yeah. Alrighty, on to video game news. The Burnout Paradise remaster is out, and I only had a couple hours to look for reviews after its release before recording this episode. However, all the reviews are really good. Everyone who has reviewed this game, not obviously every single person, but for the most part, the reviews are really good. Really good. And it does, from what I've seen of the gameplay, it's kind of timeless in a way, and I will probably pick it up. I did not play the original Burnout Paradise, but I will probably end up playing this game because I like driving games, and so yeah, I'm probably going to pick it up, and when I do, I'll let you know how my experience goes, but it's really early to make any decisions or calls on how this game's gonna turn out, because it just released right before I had to record this episode to get it out on time. Also, in video game news, going back a little ways, Bridget, the new Overwatch hero, is out. To be honest, I haven't played her. Not due to a lack of time, but most of the time she's been out. I was in Florida at Extre-Life United, but I will probably pick up Overwatch and try her out. It does seem she brings not a lot, but she brings her fair share of new, not strategies, but possibilities into team compositions and play styles. And she's kind of filling a void that wasn't filled before. So that's good to see, and I hope that she continues to do that without being like Mercy level OP. There's a lot of speculation on Diablo coming to Switch. I have had some time to let the internet try and figure out what's happening here, and it does seem that it's a possibility for the future, but it's not happening anytime soon. Seems to be the consensus. StarCraft turned 20, so if you remember when StarCraft originally came out, you probably feel old. But yeah, and it celebrated with some in-game giveaways that were pretty neat, but that's the thing that happened. The new Hearthstone expansion is going to be called Witchwood. So yes, if you are serious into Hearthstone, it's one of the 3 times a year that you get to empty your wallet into Blizzard's bank account. So that's pretty cool, right? I'm pretty sure you look forward to that every couple of months. Okay, and then there's this story that got a lot of coverage in the esports world, but I put it in video game news. The International Olympic Committee clarified their stance on video games, and with the Olympics mission to promote peace, they're basically ruling out all violent video games as far as esports in the Olympics is concerned, at least for the foreseeable future, which is not good. That's really not good, because all the popular esports video games are violent. Your League of Legends, your Counter-Strike, your Overwatch, your Dota, all your StarCraft, all the big ones are gone right off the top. You could even make arguments for games like Rocket League, because when you drive your car into another car, you explode that player. That is unquestionably violence. And so you could argue that they are ruling out, and they probably are ruling out, Rocket League due to it being too violent. And, oh, by the way, the target audience that you are looking to include by adding esports to the Olympics doesn't care. The October Nielsen survey said that only 28% of esports fans care to see it in the Olympics. And when you tell them that you're not going to include all the popular esports, they're going to care even less. So what it looks like is there's still a couple more significant hurdles to cover, but there's a possibility that games like NBA 2K could find their way into the 2024 Olympics. But that there's still hurdles to cover, to be sure, before that happens. And to be honest, I don't think anybody would watch people play a basketball video game at the Olympics. Esports fans, generally speaking, want to watch the big games, and if the ones that are violent aren't going to be there, then nobody's going to watch esports, and you're defeating the point. my opinion. Your indie game this week is straight out of Extre-Life United. Tricky Towers is basically competitive Tetris, and there are multiple game modes. You can race, you can work to try and build the best tower under a certain height, like get the most blocks under a certain height. And really, to explain all the game modes, you need to play it because it's difficult to describe each game mode. But if you like Tetris at all, or you have friends that you want to play with, there is an online game mode too for Tricky Towers, and it's not that expensive. I highly recommend you check it out. This is one of the games that I played at Extre-Life United. I am going to purchase, because this is one of the ones I didn't buy. But I'm going to purchase, and I'm probably going to play this more. There's a couple games that I found because of Extre-Life United that I really enjoy playing and will continue to play, despite the fact that the tournament is over and I no longer need to train for it. And Esports, it's going to be a relatively quick Esports segment this week, but the Overwatch League participated in Lemons for Leukemia. This is going back a while, but again, now that we're doing weekly episodes, I won't have to go back quite this far for news. If you are interested in learning more about Lemons for Leukemia, you can find a link both in the episode description and on the Esports Montcast Twitter account, where I posted the Overwatch League. The morning after Overwatch League did Lemons for Leukemia thing, I posted an article about it. I believe it was March the 4th, if memory serves correctly. Fnatic won an absolute marathon of a final at the IEM World Championships. Oh my goodness. This was such a great tournament. And the grand final came down to Fnatic and FaZe Clan, and holy cow. So it was a best of 5 maps, and naturally it went to the 5th map after multiple maps went to overtime, and I believe, if memory serves correctly, Fnatic won in double overtime on the last map. I think that's right. But, oh man, it was so close. And just, by the way, the grand final match took 7 hours. And I know that's not a record, but that's still insane to think about playing a first-person shooter at that level for 7 hours. Is just incredible. And the finals had me on the edge of my seat for the longest time, especially as someone whose 2 favorite teams are Cloud9 and whoever's playing FaZe Clan. So I was happy to see Fnatic finally get the win there, but man, was it a close match. And if you want to see a really close back and forth match, you can go back and watch the grand final match. And if you want to see a very close back and forth map, you can just go watch map 5, the last map of that. There is some incredible Counter-Strike Global Offensive gameplay in that map and that match, if you so care to go find it. In my opinion, the Overwatch League is sliding down a slippery slope. So we're not even halfway through the inaugural season, and there have been a lot of disciplinary actions. There, I got it out. Cool. And different bans and restrictions from playing in other forms that aren't bans. Ultimately, XQC got fired from Dallas Fuel. It's about damn time. I know this guy's Canadian and I should support the Canadians, but for lack of me wanting to use explicit language on this podcast, that guy's a jerk and I hope he never plays again competitively. So, yeah, but the league in general has a lot of bans and a lot of I'm not even going to try and say that again. But you get what I'm saying. There's a lot of bans and fines for things in and out of the league, and it's happening at an alarming rate for us, not even being halfway through the first season. I guess we'll see where it goes, but this could be... People might look back, if it keeps up like this, people might look back on the first season and say it was plagued by bans and inappropriate behavior, both on personal streams and in the league. But I hope not. I hope we look back and we see really good competitive Overwatch play, but that doesn't seem to be what's making the headlines through the first couple months of Overwatch League. No listener feedback once again, so I'm gonna jump right into this week's episode spotlight on extre-life United. So, as those of you who have listened to this podcast up to this point know that I went to extre-life United in Orlando, Florida this past week, and it was a lot of fun on a lot of different fronts, to be honest. It was my first extre-life United, but it was not my first trip with a group of people that I call my best friends. And so this trip was going to be awesome regardless, just because it was my once-a-year vacation with my best friends. But it was so much more than that, because extre-life is what brought this group of friends together in the first place. Extre-life is what keeps us together, and we all compete to see how much money we can raise for extre-life, particularly at this tournament. So, day one, I'm just kind of going to walk you through my experience in chronological order of extre-life United. So day one was kind of the chill day. There was no tournament play, and extre-life United is a tournament. First and foremost, it's not just a tournament, but that's kind of what brings people there, is so that they can compete in the tournament and raise money for their Children's Miracle Network Hospital and their extre-life campaign. But day one, you show up, you check in, and you register for the tournament. Everybody's already... You kind of just like get your con badge and your loot bag of goodies and your shirt. And my group, we just kind of chilled out. They had some panels there on, this is the Wednesday, day 1 of 4 of the convention. And we just kind of chilled out. We played some board games while we listened to the panels. And chill is just like the word of the day for it. It was great. I was hanging out with my best friends. I'm going to keep on going back to that, but hanging out with my friends for the first time in a long while, and it was great. And then we went back to the house and we had some fun. We trained for the next day, was the first day of the tournament play, so we went back to the house that night that we were renting, and we trained for the games we were all playing on the first day, and we did really well right out of the gate. So I think, I can't speak for everybody, but I think the majority of my extre-life team would say that we are casual gamers. And so we weren't really expecting to win a ton of money for a hospital, but we were gonna damn well try. And we did really well. I think the first day was the day Downforce happened. At least the bulk of the Downforce, which is a board game, happened, and our team captain, Mark B64, he did really well, and at the end of the first day he was still in it. I think he had made it to the finals by the end of day one, like securing himself a pile of money for his hospital, and he went on to finish third on the second day in the finals of Downforce. The second day was more tournament play, and I believe this was also the day the Children's Miracle Network State of the Union kinda event happened. They called this event many different things throughout the weekend, but it was kind of like an award show for the Children's Miracle Network and their supporters. And so that was kind of interesting, but not really what I went there for as part of Extra Life United. Extra Life United this year happened at another event, which was Children's was it Children's Hospital Week? Yeah, that sounds right. Children's Hospital Week, where the Children's Miracle Network was hosting this event, and Extra Life United was kind of just thrown onto it as part of it. So, and we also got to meet the champions that day. So some of the Children's Miracle Network Hospital champions were there, and we got to do a pin exchange and get autographs and pictures with some of the Children's Miracle Network champions. So that was fun. I actually got to meet, for the first time, I got to meet a kid that had actually attended the hospital I've been playing for the last 4 years, as well as I got to meet the champion from a couple other hospitals that are either near where I live now or near where family lives, and that was fun. Getting to meet those kids is an experience you can't put into words, and if you Extra Life and you have never been to Extra Life United, I can't recommend it highly enough, and I will see you at the next one. I know, I'm not doing a great job at selling you on this, but just know that it is worth it, I promise. But, yeah. And then tournament play continued throughout the remainder of day 2 with different games and the finals from the day 1 games. And then on the last day, it was kind of big celebration. The finals for most of the games happened on the morning of day 3, and then the 16 players in the tournament that had earned the most for their hospital across all the games were placed into a mystery game tournament. The mystery game tournament was just absolutely hilarious. It was completely bonkers and off-the-wall games that you've likely never heard of before, but it was just, that's what made it so fun. And nobody's really there for pride, and everybody's just there to try and win money for their hospitals. It is also one thing I've kind of glazed over. Normally when you travel to a gaming tournament, you are going to get a very competitive atmosphere, and that is not at all the atmosphere at Extra Life United. Extra Life United is a totally different group of people, and even after the grand final match, which was, I think there was $20,000 on the line. Like, the winner gets $12,000, the loser gets $8,000 or something. That's a huge amount of money for your hospital. But it wasn't like, oh darn, I just lost. It was like, everybody there was so kind, and everybody that lost just kind of hoped and wished well for the winner to do well in the next round. it was a great atmosphere, a great non-competitive atmosphere that was still competitive because we wanted to win money for our hospitals. But at the end of the day, all the money's going to the kids, and everybody knows that going in. And it's just makes for the best environment I could have hoped for going in. Last but not least, thank you for listening, of course. Subscribe so you never miss an episode. And thank you once again to Approaching Nirvana for all the background music in yet another episode of Montcast. And you can check their link in the episode description. I highly recommend you do that because they make a lot of great music. So, until next week, bye for now.